I think it's just going to get weirder and weirder and weirder, and finally it's going to be so weird that people are going to have to talk about how weird it is. Eventually people are going to say, what the hell is going on? It's not enough to say it's nuts. You have to explain why it's so nuts. The invention of artificial life, the cloning of human beings, possible contact with extraterrestrials, the systems which are in place to keep the world sane are utterly inadequate to the forces that have been unleashed.
Welcome back to Forbidden Knowledge News. I'm your host, Chris Matthew. Today my guest is Krystal Parry. We are currently in Georgia filming for our third film. We're still having our fundraiser to help with production and travel. If you'd like to make a donation, anything is greatly appreciated. We have links for you right in the description. I forgot my good mic for podcasting on this trip, so the audio on my end isn't stellar, but it is sure listenable, so we hope you still enjoy these episodes. We are booking guests for December. If you have suggestions or you'd like to be a guest, email me forbiddenknowledgenews@gmail.com. Today I want to welcome Krystal Parry. She is a best-selling author, Reiki master, and evidential-based psychic medium. She has worked with thousands of clients, both international and stateside. Krystal, welcome. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Chris. Thanks for having me today.
Thanks so much for coming on. Today we're going to be discussing not only your intuitive gifts, but you also teach people to tap into their own intuition through the body rather than the mind. And from what I understand, we all have the capability to tap into higher states of consciousness and intuition. But with over a century of consciousness suppression through psychological manipulation, social programming, infiltrated education, and various systems of control, humanity seems to have been disconnected from these levels of awareness. But for the past few years, there are more and more people looking for answers and a connection to something greater, it seems. So we're in exciting times, and I'm looking forward to sharing your work because this is the perfect time to do so. Before we do, this is your first time on. Tell us a little bit about yourself and let the audience know how they can find out more.
Okay, thanks, Chris. My name is Krystal Parry. I call myself Blossoming Medium. You'll find me under my website, blossomingmedium.com. You'll find me on the socials under Blossoming Medium. I got into Reiki energy about 11 and a half years ago, where it kind of opened up my gifts and showed me what I needed to highlight in my life. And then I got into mediumship about 6.5 years ago, where doors just really opened. And so once I did that and trained, I started doing international readings right out the gate. Then I started teaching classes here local in the States, of course. And it just really blew from there. Everyone was hungry for the desire of learning. How do I tap into my own gifts? How do I even know I have them? What are they? And you're right. Society's kind of programmed us out of our innate abilities. And so I like to teach people, you can come back home. They've never left you. Those gifts are there. Let's just reconnect to the body, because that's where you're going to feel the intuitive nudges and the senses is in your body.
Right on. Let's start with your journey. Tell us a little bit about how you became aware of your abilities and how it all started for you.
Well, I like to say that I know that I had special talents. I won't say gifts because everyone has them. At a young age, because I was interested in things that my peers weren't. I remember being a very young child and wanting to go to the library and want books on the, esoteric stuff, astrology and mediumship. And this is way back when, where there was no cell phone. So I just wanted to read and learn. And how do they do this? And how could they know what they see? And at the time, Oprah was on TV with a medium called Sylvia Brown, and she was a chain smoker. And so we were just watching what was on TV. But I knew I was fascinated as a young child. There was something that called me. I didn't grow up in a home that was conducive to any of that. So I ignored it, I guess. And it wasn't really until I stepped into Reiki about 11 and a half years ago that things just really came on board and things clicked and things made sense. The things that didn't make sense, I had to rediscover in myself. Why have I hidden that talent in myself? What am I afraid of? What am I afraid of looking at? Like, I had to do the inner work first, right? And then it just became clear that this was the avenue I needed to go down more and more and more. So it's just validating. I think when I see someone transform before my eyes, of giving them the tools and wow, I can do this myself, you know, the relief that people feel.
Tell us a little bit about your intuitive abilities and some of the uses that you're utilizing them for.
Yeah, I like to talk about 4 of the main clairs. Most of the people have heard about clairvoyance, where I'm actually seeing through my mind's eye. If you are a vivid dreamer or a visual person, maybe you remember if someone wrote on a chalkboard when you was young, something that you would have remembered with your visual eyes. Or again, visual dreamer, maybe premonitions, precognitions, that's clairvoyance. Clairsentience is when you're seeing or sensing and feeling something around you. Maybe you've picked up, you know, someone's watch, or maybe you've walked into a room and it just feels off. That's clairsentience. Claircognizance is just a knowing. I just know something is here or accurate or going to happen, right? That's one of my stronger gifts. And I play with all of them. And then clairaudience is when you're hearing something in your ears and you may question, is that my mind? Am I just hearing voices? What's the deal? We talk ourselves out of a lot of this. It's only because it wasn't really, promoted as children. We didn't hear about this. We didn't know about it. And if you did, you're woo-woo, you're out there. Ignore that. You're not with the society norm. So 4 of those main clairs that I like to talk about, and there's many more, those are the main ones where you're going to sense your intuition, not just mediumship, but your intuition of knowings, of sensing, of feeling, of hearing. Sometimes people just hear their name called out of the blue. It just means that Spirit's trying to get your attention. It doesn't mean anything else. The more I do this work, not any of it has been evil or dark or scary. Hollywood has made this type of work very scary, but it's very healing. It's actually the opposite of what the movies and the scary stories have made it look like. So if you're tapped into your own body, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, since you brought that up, the negative possible aspects of this, would you say that there is a dark side to this that could possibly make contact or that we need to be aware of?
There is a unseen side, I will say, that people just don't know what that means. And I've done so many readings. I've had readings with people that were serial killers that they're now in spirit and they're giving me information about their life and what they did. So there's avenues of an aspect of someone's life that could be dark or scary or frightening, but that doesn't mean I take it on. It doesn't mean the client that I'm talking to takes it on. Most of the time, a family member is fully aware of something harmful another loved one did, let's say, and left that, quote, damage behind, right? So it doesn't mean we're living in it. And the other thing I wanted to add here, a caveat, just as we're beginning, is every reading I have done, I have seen whoever you are, whether you're good, bad, evil, if we're going to name it, literally they go into the light. I've never seen anyone stuck. I've never seen anyone linger around. I've seen Spirit watch over people and loved ones, but they show me their version of heaven. And let's go back to I had 2 serial killers that had came through. Different sorts of things they showed me when they're in their version of heaven. One was literally like in this glass box where he could see the other world, other people, the other realms. He could see the beauty, but he was limiting himself because he knew what he did on earth was damaging. So it was kind of his own barrier. The other person was like wrapped up kind of like a mummy, where he had put these straps or wraps around himself, where I can see my loved ones and family members here on the other side, but I'm not allowing myself to go there. So it's kind of, your own soul healing when you get on the other side and what you're going through. But that's about the scariest I have seen. And really, it was just the damage they had done and left behind here on earth plays on that.
What about negative spirit attachments, demonic intelligences, things like this? Is this something that if you keep a higher state of vibration, you just shouldn't have to worry about?
That's exactly what I feel. I know that there's that kind of stuff out there. I don't invite it into my life, my home, my environment, who I'm talking to. I just don't play around with it. I don't want to get involved in that. That's not where I sit. And so my mind don't go there. And the souls that I bring through, they haven't ever said that. And I've done hundreds of thousands of readings. I can't say that I won't ever come across it, but in this time, 99.9%, all of it is healing. Even if they've done something wrong, they come in with apologies and regrets and remorse. And I see what I did and I see what I left behind, that sort of thing. There's sometimes they won't say, give me an apology. And I never put my words into their mouth. And if I'm sitting with a client and I've had clients to tell me, well, I just want my dad to say, I'm sorry, right? He's not saying that right now. He sees the damage he did. And I'll just leave it at that because I can't make anyone say anything, right? And I work in this field with ethics and morals, and I just won't cross that line. I haven't seen the dark attachments and the dark entities. I've had clients come to me feeling like they had something with them. And I've, given them some step-by-step how to clear and how to smudge and how to get that out of your life if that's what you're looking for, but not necessarily the dead that I talk to.
What about anything not necessarily malevolent, but maybe deceptive? I've heard of trickster spirits that try to pose as family members but aren't really. Do you test the spirit in any way?
I always ask for evidence. I ask for evidence that this is their person. And so I call myself an evidence-based medium. So let's say I'm sitting with you, for example. This is all hypothetical. I'll check in with spirit. Who's here? Maybe I have a grandfather. What does he look like? What is his name? What is his birth date? What is the details of his life that is relevant to you that you can say, yeah, that you've got the right person, right? I don't ever just say your grandmother's here and she loves you very much. And that's that. That is fluff. And if you're paying a medium for that, you need to get a different medium. So, there is some of that, I'm sure. I just try not to attract it into my life. I really try to maintain a higher vibration for that.
So you mentioned you're an evidence-based medium. Tell us a little bit more about what that means.
That means every reading I do, I'm bringing through some sort of evidence that this is your person, your loved one, how they lived their life, who they were to you. I always ask them who they are. Is this a son, a child, a daughter, a mom, a dad, and go from there and get more details, maybe where they lived and how they lived their life, how many children they had. Questioning as if I met you for the first time. I might say, Chris, where do you work? What are you doing for a living? How many children do you have? Where do you live? The details of someone's life. Really, we're having a conversation. I try to take the fear out of that when I sit with my clients and say, this is just a conversation between you and I and the departed and I, and that's it. There's nothing scary here. There's been so many sessions that I've done that has just, so much substantial evidence that has come through that I can't explain. Of course, I never know who's going to sit in front of me. I usually just have a name and an email address. And sometimes the client has no idea. I don't know anything about that evidence. Nope. And they'll tell me no, till they're blue in the face, and they'll leave and they'll call me later, or they'll text me later, or they'll email me later. Oh my God, this just happened. I'll give you an example. I had a young boy that passed away in a motorcycle accident, and his family happened to be behind him. They were all traveling together, and he was on a motorcycle beforehand. So then they came up to the scene and saw this mess and all the things. But during that time, and then the ambulance and retrieving and, the vehicle and, the cleanup, a friend of theirs had picked up something off the road. Now, in the reading to the parents, I said, he keeps showing me a piece of his bike, like it was left there at the scene. And they said, no, over and over again. Well, a few weeks later, they got back with the friends that had followed them as well. And the friend had picked up the piece of his bike that came off and given it to the friend and then gave it to the parents. So it was validation that they don't know, but the person in spirit, the son that had passed, was absolutely certain. And if I have evidence that they're showing me 2, 3, 4, 5 times, it is absolute a guarantee that there's something about that. So it's always exciting for first to come back and say, I didn't know that. And that's so great. And now it's even more validating, right?
Maybe tell us about some of the most profound experiences you've had with clients or otherwise, anything that really sticks out for you.
There's been quite a few, most evidence-based healing and potential one. I just had one recently. The man has not even been past a month when I gave his mother a reading, and he actually told me he was sitting with Wayne Dyer, which was interesting. I always just let them show me what they're doing. And his mother told me that he was a big Wayne Dyer fan. He followed him immensely. I had no idea about that. I had another one where, the clients will usually say no because they don't understand. And I was telling someone, I see a pregnancy in your future in the next year, and I think there's possibly two. And the woman just kept saying, oh, no, 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 I have a 16-year-old daughter and, a 19-year-old son. There's just no way. Well, within 3 months, the son had got a girl pregnant. And within 8 months, the young daughter had got pregnant. So that, you just don't know that unless Spirit's giving me something. And they were in denial, like that better not happen in my family. Yet it did. So some things like that come through. Sometimes there's some medical intuitive stuff that comes through that I'll read for someone and say, you really need to have your sugars checked, or you should check on your heart. And I'm not a doctor, so I'll say it gently, just what Spirit's nudging. Hey, they need to stop eating gluten, simple things like that. One of my favorite ones, and I always go back to this, I might even have written about this in my book. I think it was my first year doing mediumship. I had a girl that I kept saying, your father's here and he's in like a big Halloween costume. And I said, I don't know why. He's showing it to me 2, 3, 4 times. And she says, nope, nope, nope. And I went on to give evidence about the family and how many kids were in the family and the trips that they had taken and all the validation. Yet the father kept showing me this costume. And I said, it is a big costume. He's got the head he's pulling on and all the things. And she said no until the very end of the session. And I said, okay, well, please just sit with that because that's what he showed me. And she said, my father never really dressed up for Halloween, but every month he would come to my school dressed up as Smokey the Bear.
Oh, there you go.
Right. And when we're the client, we're listening to that, all we're thinking is Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. And I'm just expressing what I'm seeing. And so it finally settled with her that she understood. But she was like 5, 6, 7, 8, all through the elementary years that he would dress up and come because he worked for the Forest Service. So it's just fun to say how Spirit shows me a memory to give to someone and it's validating for them. Yeah.
Would you say that some of the things that may prevent the average person from connecting to their intuition could be the level of their health, their emotional state, their mental state, if they have trauma, all these things may be blocking that, would you say?
Yes. And their support system around and their belief system. What did they grow up with? Did they maybe grow up in a religion that we don't talk about this? This is not good stuff. We don't talk to the dead. It can't happen. It's evil. It's demonic. Don't do it. And so their belief system, and maybe they're out of this religion for years, but their belief system is, oh no, I can't do that. And why would I want to? And someone else can, so it's a belief system as well as all the emotional states. When I teach intuition, there's a list of tips that I give people. And one of them is just being dehydrated or running on too much caffeine, too much stimulant, smoking, drinking. All those things do not make a clear channel for Spirit. Yeah, it can come in. Is it going to be as clear as you would like? Probably not. Right?
There are some that have said that Wi-Fi frequencies, things like that, may hinder the ability to connect with something or cause interference. Is that true?
I think mildly is what I have found, because your vessel, your body is where you're going to get the intuitive hits, depending on how clear your channel is. The other thing that most people don't understand is that intuition works moment by moment. It is not on 24/7 because it's not needed. It's really not. For example, if you're driving down the road and suddenly you're like, ooh, I should slow down. And then you look over and you see a highway patrol. In that moment, you got the intuitive hit. I should slow down. I see the validation over there. Okay, thank you, right? But when you're home, maybe making dinner and making soup or flipping your laundry or doing some mundane tasks, there's nothing that needs to come in. If you're in that moment and you get a download or a hit that says, hey, call mom, or go check on my dad, or call my brother. I don't know why I need to call my brother. That's weird. Things that just pop into your awareness. then that's your intuitive hit. But it's not 24/7. And I think people are expecting this big, loud, booming voice to tell me what I got to do every minute, next step I should take, all the things. It comes moment by moment. And if you're a clear channel to receive, it will come in the moments it needs to.
Mm. Let's explore intuition itself. You talk about how it really lives in the body, not in the mind, and we have to become aware of our bodies to tap into that, right?
Yes. And just like anything, if we suppress or hold back any emotion or any feeling, we are going to have a restriction in that area. So as I go through the body, I talk about the chakra system, which is just the energy the main chakras of the body are just the energy centers of the body. So you don't even need to know what they are really. I just go in the location of where they are. I start at the bottom, which is the root chakra, which is right where your two legs meet, really at the tip of your thighs and into your hips. This is the area of foundation and stability and grounding. If you are listening to your intuition, you will want, and you get an intuitive hit. Let's say I should move to France. I should move to Montana. I should take a new job. I should get married, or I should get divorced. Suddenly I get an intuitive hit. An action will be wanted to move through you. You will want to take action on something. Or if it's a hard no, like let's say, example, you're applying for a job and you're like, should I take this job? Yeah, I feel restricted in that area. My body's telling me no, but my mind is saying, yes, you need to do it. You have to work 40 hours a week. You have to have this paycheck, da, 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 da. That's a whole ego boost. The intuition sits from your neck down. So let's go back to the root chakra. You will feel like you want to move forward to something if it is correct for you. If it is not, and you don't listen to that and you're repressing it, you can start to develop symptoms in that area of the body. Maybe hip issues, maybe leg issues, knee issues, feet issues, anything from the legs down. If you're repressing it, you see these people, old and young, that have major hip issues or major knee issues. This is because they've been repressing something that spirit told them to move forward with. And they're like, no, I can't do that. I can't go back to school. I can't get married. I can't have kids. Whatever it is you're saying no to, the body's saying, hey, you're supposed to be moving forward and you're not. Oh. So that's just one area of the body. And then moving up into the sacral area, this is the area of creation where we actually give birth to new ideas. So this is the area of creation when we're making babies in our pelvic region, right? But this is the area of creation. So do you want to take an art class? Do you want to create? Do you want to get a whole new brand? Do you want to create a new job for you? What do you want to just create? An idea will come out of the blue in this area. You will think it comes into your head, but it will just pop into your awareness. Mm. And if you're not, quote, giving birth to new ideas and you're suppressing it, this area you can have symptoms like UTIs, bladder issues, ovarian problems, prostate problems, things that you're just holding back on of being creative in your life. Now, this doesn't just mean you're going to be a painter. This is with everything in your life. What do you want to be creative with? Or are you just feeling like you're stuck in a little box and I don't have that in me and that's not who I am? And you've told yourself this story that really came from your parents or your grandparents, right? Oh, we don't have a creative bone in our body. And it just runs through the family line. Guess what? Their family line gets to stop with you.
Yeah.
So if any of your people have heard about epigenetics, Bruce Lipton talks about that. Same thing. You know, it's something we picked up generations ago, yet we're telling ourselves in this moment, this story.
I've talked about this often. Every time I am trying to do something creative, whether it's write a song, write a script, artwork, anything of that nature, if I'm actively trying to think about it and focus and make something come out, it never works or it turns out like crap. But if I step away and I start doing something else, it'll just come to me either an hour or 20 minutes later, and I'll have to run back and just start doing it. But it's amazing how that creative energy flows, but it can be blocked if you're trying to force it.
If you strain.
Yeah.
If you're like, I got to have it now. I have a deadline. I got to tell my boss on Tuesday. I must know. Intuition does not work like that. Intuition is constant flow. I talk about it being like a garden hose. When you turn the hose on and the water's flowing through, you cannot put the water back up to go in the hose. You can kink the hose and stop the flow. And I can stop the creative process or any intuitive process. Yet it is always going to flow in. And it's interesting you said, yet if I step away and go do something else, it is exactly what I teach my students. If you have a major question in life, should I move to Montana? Should I get married? Should I quit my job, right? The major questions that we all have in our life. Ask the question one time and let it go. Let it be in your auric field, and then go do something. Go do the laundry, go take the dog for a walk, go check the mail, go physically do something, leaving that energy out there, not repeating it in your brain over and over, and let it pop in. Especially if it's physical movement of any kind. Take a walk, go stir the soup, go physically check out and be in that liminal space, that zone where how we've all just zoned out of a window. I don't know what's going on here in that moment. That's exactly what you need to do. So spirit can get in.
Talk a little bit more about the function of the auric field. You say that we can set creative ideas in there and they'll essentially grow out of that initial seeding. Talk a little bit more about what the auric field is there for.
Yeah, the auric field actually picks up a lot of vibration everywhere we go. Every room we walk into, the stores, the people that are around us, we're picking up vibration, good and bad. We're setting the boundaries. We're having some limits. Yet usually if there's, and I think medical intuitives will also tell you this, if there's a limitation in our body somewhere, let's just say I have kidney problems, it's already manifested in the auric field before it actually comes into the physical realms. So the energy of that organ or that disease is actually in the field before it's in the body. Something happened to have a rip or a tear in the auric field to say, okay, this is the organ we're going to attack. This is the area that's going to be attacked. So our auric field is actually for protection. Now, it also is for the space around us to hold our creative ideas, to hold this space of, okay, I need my guides and angels to be here in this energy for me. And it's not really for our mind to process. The mind is a motor. That's it. If you can think of a car, there's a motor in the engine and the rest is like, we got the luxury seats and the heaters and we got this and we got that. The mind is just the motor and it wants to go and do and go and do. If you can step out of the motor and step into the body and feel the energy of the body and the breath of the moment and the, how does my shirt feel on my skin? How do my socks feel? Checking in with the body constantly, you'll get answers quicker because this is the vessel that we came here with, and God, divine source, whatever you believe, gave us this vessel that we would actually have visceral reactions in our body, knowings, sensings, feelings. What are the goosebumps? I'm getting a reaction, right? So we actually get a turned on signal of, oh, pay attention here. Something is here, not in our head. So this is why I say it's from the neck down. But back to the auric field, I tease in my book and I say, how many times have we done this, right? We walk up to the elevator, we push the button and we wait. And someone else walks up to the elevator and pushes the button and we're all waiting. And then the next person comes, pushes the same damn button. And there we are waiting. All we have to do is push it once. We have to ask the question one time. We have to trust and we have to wait. And that's the most critical stage. Those 3 steps, nobody wants to wait. We are a world of instantaneous everything, and I don't want to wait for it. I need it right now. And so if I crunch down and I squeeze and I manifest it faster and quicker, then it'll be here. Yet you've even said, when I really try to strain and do it, it doesn't come through.
Right. You mentioned illness. Would you say that all illness, even things like cancer, start in that energetic field?
100%. 100%. It's something that the energy of the body has picked up and it somehow wants to have that energy. Now, people are going to probably poke me on this, but it's a subconscious thing. It's not a conscious thing. Oh, I want cancer.
Right.
It's some emotion, some energy that you've carried, some baggage from the past or into the future, because usually when we have ill health, it's because your energy is out of your body. I also teach that, look, the physical body only knows this breath. After that, it only knows the next breath. After the breath stops, the physical body actually stops, right? So when we're out of our body, we're in the future of worry and stress. Am I going to get the job? Am I going to get the girl? Am I going to get the guy? Am I going to lose my house? Stress, futuristic. Or we're in the past of, oh my God, I can't believe my mom beat me. Oh my hell, I can't believe my child left. We're into the past of drama that happened, or we're into the future. We're not actually in the moment of our body. So cancers, diseases, even diabetes, these sorts of things are because we're literally out of our body energetically. We're not paying attention to the moment of right now. What do I need right now? This vessel is amazing. It can do anything. It can heal through these major diseases. I mean, we've all heard miraculous stories of people healing. And what we have to do is really pay attention. What emotion might have caused this? What did I pick up? Was it 10 years ago? Is it because I'm worried about the future? Those sorts of things. I've followed Louise Hay's books for years, and there's many, many more practitioners that talk about each organ of the body or each emotion and where it would sit in the body. For example, the lungs would hold grief and despair. The bladder and the liver hold anger. So if you have a symptom in those two areas, just saying a few, it's because it's either a long-term situation. I have long-standing grief in my lungs. So now I always have bronchitis or COVID or, pneumonia. Yet the subconscious, is the only thing that knows that. It's not the conscious mind. So you could have lost a child 10 years ago, and then something triggered in your life. Maybe your best friend lost their child or something. And now all of a sudden you have wheezing and asthma and stress. And you're like, I don't know what this is caused from. And the doctors can't, quote, figure it out. It's because it's an emotion that's attached to that. But it always starts in the auric field.
Right. Well, we've all heard the saying, go with your gut feeling. In your notes, you talk about how we can go past that, and there's much more that we can be tuning into in our body. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So let's just finish the steps. We were at the root chakra, the sacral chakra. The next step is the belly. And I like to think of the Care Bears where they're pushing that energy right out of their belly. But this is the chakra that seems the largest. So most people think they only get the gut hit. I got the gut feeling I shouldn't do that. I got the butterflies in my stomach. I shouldn't do that. Or the clenching, right? The energy that we're holding there. If you're repressing in this area, you're going to have stomach issues, bowel issues, heartburn. They always come up with doctors can't figure it out because it's an emotion. But this is where your intuition sits throughout your whole body. Energetically, you're picking stuff up all the time. We know energetically that we are energy beings. Right? We're not necessarily, I call us sensory beings. We walk into a room and I sense something's off. Maybe someone had a fight in that room just before you were there. Or you might have been the little child, let's use for example, and you're the little girl playing Barbies on your bedroom floor at 5 years old. And you know that someone in the other room is having a fight, even though they're not talking. It's like the silent treatment they're giving each other, but you're feeling that energy. So you just know, I'm not going to go in there. Right? How many times have we done that? Or you walk into a party and the body language is telling you things all the time. You walk into a party that you really don't want to be at. Suddenly you cross your arms. I'm blocking that energy either across my heart or across my belly. I don't want to be here. I'm stopping the flow of the energy hitting me constantly. Or we'll turn away. People will turn away from that.
Let's talk a little bit more about the role of chakras and what each chakra is really responsible for.
Yeah. Well, the bottom one, the root chakra, is your grounding, your foundation, your stability in life. Usually this is set in stone before you're maybe 6 years old. It's really how you grew up, the foundation of your home environment. And then you get off to school and it's like the basis and security of your schooling. And then it's the basis and security of how you've grown, right? So it's your basis. If you grow up in a house that was not secure and it was not safe, you could already have some of those physical symptoms, hips, knees, feet, or you will always feel insecure in your life because that didn't get a good, a good foundation to start with. You just didn't get that basis, right? Moving up into the sacral chakra, this is the creativity zone, and you might have been someone in a family, like we mentioned, that they weren't creative, or you grew up in a family that was very creative and everyone played piano and everyone danced and everyone was in ballet or whatever, and very creative, and that chakra is just spinning its joyful joy that it needs to do. Every chakra should spin healthily and happily in its own form. They're all different colors. The bottom one is red, the second one is orange. Medium Marie Manucherry calls it the juicy chakra because it looks like an orange. But think about it. Think about your creativity and your creative side. That's kind of juicy and fun and exciting, right? So then moving up to your solar plexus, that's a bright yellow like the sun, all through the belly from the top of the belly button up into your up into the top of the rib cage, solar plexus. And this is your gut instincts. This is where I'm picking things up, the vibration of things quickly. It just seems like a larger chakra, so we talk about our gut more than anything else. Moving up into the heart, the heart chakra is green, and it is the connection to one-on-one. So if I want to connect with you, if I want to connect with my son, if I want to connect with my mother, the same with intuition. Suddenly I'm getting a hit out of the blue. Oh, I need to call my brother. I don't know why, but I need to check in. Like, it's a one-on-one connection. If you're someone who is restricted in that area throughout your life, maybe you're very isolated. You keep yourself at bay and away from people. You're introverted. Maybe you didn't grow up in a home where love was expressed or anything like that. So you've limited the heart chakra. And again, they should all spin and have a healthy, joyful life. They're called wheels in Sanskrit, and they actually do spin. So all of them should be healthy. So the next one is your throat chakra. In 80 to 85% of my clients, the throat chakra is always blocked. It's just something that our society has said, children are to be seen and not heard, or you've just gotten the look from your dad and you just know, shut up. It's just an energy that we've repressed, especially in the United States. And the other thing is, this is the area of your thyroid, your adrenals, the sensation of throat, laryngitis, throat issues, jaw issues, dental issues. If you have any of those symptoms, you've been restricted for quite a long time, and you're not allowing your voice to be heard in the world or your truth to be heard. And this area is blue. It's the color blue, and you can look up any of the chakras. But the funny thing about the throat chakra is, in the United States, the number 3rd medication prescribed is thyroid medication. The number 3rd medication. So look at that, and what does that tell you? How repressed are we with what we speak? Right. And whoever, because we're told, be nice to your sister, don't say that, don't do this. And the parents that are doing that had that done to them and had that done to them. And so that's all we know. Right? Yeah. It feels awkward to say, no, my sister hit me and I don't want her to do that anymore, instead of just be nice. Right? Yeah, exactly. And so we've repressed it. And anyone can do it. If they feel like their throat chakra is blocked, start simple, start humming, start singing. Your own body reverberates with your own voice more than anything else on this planet. Maybe your mother's from the mother's womb and you recognized your mother's voice, but your own voice reverberates and it knows the knowledge of your voice. So hum and sing and yell if you have to, get in the car and yell, but break that up because it's no longer needed. Remember, the body only knows this moment. If you can heal in this moment, then you'll heal in the next moment. You'll heal in the next moment, instead of being out of our body in the past or in the future. I've met many clients that have done some major work, or let's say they had a major surgery, and when they came out, they're like, oh, I'm not doing that again. I'm healing my life. I'm losing 50 pounds. I'm changing. I'm growing. I'm done with that. And let the baggage go. It can be in a split second that we can heal our body. We just have a belief system that we can't, truly, in its societal programming.
Right. And the final chakras, tell us a little bit about
the final one. There's a third one that is right at the base of your, in between your brows. This is called your third eye chakra. This is where we get the vivid dreams, the emotions of feeling and seeing and sensing through that chakra. I don't really talk about the intuition here because I use the actual visuals. We can use our eyes to see if someone's being lying to us or shifty, or if you're asking your son, did you eat that cookie, and they're turning away, no, I didn't. We can actually see that with our eyes. But this chakra, sometimes people will suddenly open it if they've gone through a spiritual awakening. It's usually deteriorated some because religion is one way of raising us into a vibration of this is how it's supposed to look, quote, look, using your eyes, not how my body is saying it's supposed to look. I'm following a structured religion or a dogma of some sort, or even maybe a political belief of my family grew up this way and I have to grow up this way and I see it only this way with the blinders on. So it feels limited in most people, unless those that have done some work. And all of these chakras we can clear, and we can put our hand on each body part and just say, I'm open to receive what you have to show me. The final one, these are just the 7 main, there's some that go up higher, is right above your head, and it's your crown chakra. This is where spirit actually sends information into the top of your head, down through the body. And this is the white. This one right here in the middle of the forehead is a deep purple. And then the one above your head is white or clear, or I like to see it with sparkles. Just the information that's coming in. And when you want to heal your auric field, allow this energy of all these colors, it's a rainbow of colors, truly, to heal around you. Imagine this beautiful light coming in. This is why some light therapy works so well for people, where they're just absorbing those lights that I've restricted for so long.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
That makes
there's
sense.
just so much out there holistically that can help before you just have to jump into pharmaceuticals. Now, if that's your jam and you want to, great. I'm just saying there's other options.
Earlier, you mentioned spirit guides and angels. Do you work yourself with spirit guides and angels?
Yes, and I teach it. So we have two main guides at birth, usually two. Sometimes I've seen more, but it's usually two. And they come at any given time when we need something more. For example, if you're going to school, you get a new school guide that's going to help you. If you start driving and you're learning how to drive, you're getting a car guide that's going to help you. If you're pregnant, you have a pregnancy guide. And they stay until the lesson is over or not needed, and then another guide will step in. So after you're pregnant, then you get a mothering guide or a parenting guide that will help that situation. Going through a divorce, get a divorce guide. Going through the marriage, get that. So they come at different stages. The two main are always with you. And they're here to kind of walk you through the path of what you chose before birth. What did you sign up for? What did you say? Oh, at 30, I need a divorce. I need to have one kid. I need to be solo for a minute. And then I need a new career. So give me those things that I can learn all this stuff from, right? And so they're nudging us on the path of what we came here to learn, whether that was betrayal or pain or suffering or loss, whatever our soul wanted to learn, because spirit looks at it as a big picture. If you can imagine a spotlight on something versus a tiny little pin mag light that I'm holding this little flashlight on myself, look at me. Spirit's like, oh no, honey, that's not what you came here for. You are this big. And so you need the interaction of all these other people. And this job's going to give you that. And this relationship's going to give you that. And oh, some friends that are going to backstab you, this is going to give you that. Right? So they're guiding us onto that path. Angels are a little separate. They are messengers for the divine. So they come in at the moment they're needed, and then they go off to the heavens to give the messages back and forth. They can come at periods of time when we need them, maybe extra boost in a relationship or meeting a loved one, the connection there, or life-saving events if it is not your time to go. So they can come in at different times. I have seen them multiple times in readings, not always. It's maybe 30% of the time. And what angels have told me is, if I can see them in a reading, what they have told me is this person, and they'll describe the story, right? This person may have had a near-death experience. Maybe they were in a car wreck but lived, or they had surgery that could have taken their life but lived. It was some situation that could have taken their life, but they're still here, and the angels are here just kind of holding space until they're ready to go again. It's just not their time yet. So it's interesting how they come through differently.
You mentioned that before we come and have this incarnation experience, that we get to essentially choose what the experience will be about. We sign up for this life, essentially. Is it that specific, as you were mentioning, that we get to choose down to the very activity or timeline or event and when it's going to happen or how it's going to happen before we get here?
I have seen it pretty accurate to that, yes.
Oh.
So it may be a certain year, and maybe you postpone it, and then it's like the next year, and then all hell breaks loose or something, right? But it's pretty close to the timeline. The other thing that does have an influence on it, and I've asked Spirit multiple times, is the planets play a big part. If you are around 30 or around 60 or around 90, every 30 years you have a Saturn return, and those planets are pushing you to do something different, right? Saturn is a planet of structure and design and progression. And if you're not progressing, it's this huge planet in the solar system that's like, hey, you said you were going to progress, so we're going to give you some things that are going to make you restructure your life, right? So all of it has everything to do with us. We're walking on gravity of an Earth and a planet that's bulbed out in space. Why would we think that we are the only things here when there's so much more out there? It's all influential in our lives.
Could you talk a little bit more about the planets and their effect on our incarnation here?
Well, I think everyone chooses their birth time no matter what, even if you're having to quote a C-section. That child is coming into a stamp. If you've ever done a natal chart, the stamp of this time and this date in this area of the world, and how it's going to be influenced, and how those planets that were in the sky, because a natal chart is a snapshot of Mars was here and Jupiter was here and the sun was here, and all at the snapshot of your time of your birth. You pick that time and develop all these traits that go through with that in life of how's this life going to play out for me? Maybe you have a lot of certain planets that are very heavily based in the family dynamics, and you grow up in a very codependent family, and they're very needy, and they're very, victimhood. And maybe it's for something for you to overcome in this lifetime of, oh, I'm going to choose differently. I see how bad that affected them. I'm going to choose differently. And the correlation between them. We have free will to do anything we want. Yet we feel stuck because I don't want to let them down, and I don't want them to judge me, and I don't want to put too much out on social media because that'll happen. And we have all these judgments that come with this package that, again, back to epigenetics, not really ours. We've just picked it up and we're backpacking with it. I'll hold your backpack of rocks, and I'll hold your family drama, and I'll hold your family secrets, and I won't tell anyone, and I'll keep holding it until we finally burst. Some people around age 30 will just be like, no more, I'm done with this. I can't talk to my family anymore. I can't hang with this friend anymore. Or they'll have some major tragedy that has uplifted them and uprooted them out of this. Maybe a loss of a job, maybe a loss of a good friend, or, a terrible accident and I broke my ankle. Whatever it is, to come back into reality and go, what am I doing with this life?
Would you say that synchronicity is a big part of gaining this awareness, not only our bodily intuition, but to have an overall connection to become aware of when the synchronicities are speaking to us in a sense?
I think they're always talking to us. The thing we have to remember is that, once we depart from this life, we're not on linear time, 24 hours in a day. It exists in a whole different way. So I try to tell my clients, look, you're wanting a message from mom, right? You're just like, give me a hummingbird, or give me a flower, or give me a feather, or whatever. And mom's up here in the spirit realm, like, I did. And for her, it was 2 seconds ago. For you, it was 3 months ago, right? But time doesn't exist on this side. And for you, you're just like demanding, give me another one, give me another one. Now, synchronicities play out all the time, especially even in readings. I had a reading yesterday while I was sharing with the gal. I'm like, suddenly they're giving me everything heart-shaped rocks, heart-shaped leaves, heart-shaped this, heart-shaped that. I'm like, is that relevant to you? And she says, I collect that everywhere she goes. So it was something that spirit, I didn't have a main person. It was overall spirit and connectivity, giving that to her, saying, we're here for you. We're listening. You're on the right track. Keep doing it. You keep running into those things because it's what we need you to, we need to validate that for you.
Right.
So I always ask spirit, if you're wanting synchronicities and coincidences in your life, ask them, ask spirit, your guides, whoever, even if you don't believe and you think it's woo-woo, ask them, what will you give me in the coming days? Leave the question broad instead of saying, give me a penny. Right now, I'm demanding something happen versus what will you give me in the coming days? Because they know where you're going to be, what you're going to do, how you're going to get there. I had a client tell me, well, I did that. And it was weird because I said, well, what are you going to give me? And they said, oranges. I'm like, take it. What happened? And she said a couple of days later, she walked into the store and they were handing out oranges, right? It's still a validation. We just don't know when it's going to happen, but leave it open. Maybe write yourself a little note and say, okay, this happened on this day and this is what I got. And it was random, but it still shows up. Everything is there for a greater good.
Let's talk a little bit about past lives and the effects they can have in our current lives, especially past life trauma. Do you assist people with clearing that?
I don't, but I have seen it play out a little bit in my sessions where someone might say, I didn't finish this life plan. I'm going to have to come back again. I ended it too early, especially with people that have committed suicide. They see the error of their ways, even if they was depressed for years and that's all they thought about. And if I kill myself, it's better, da, da, da. The minute they get to the other side, they're like, oh, I had some other things I needed to accomplish here and I didn't do that. I should have just got out of this bad marriage. And there was another person I was supposed to be with and change my life and raise my kids, whatever the thing might be. but the regrets are after the fact on the other side is what the dead have taught me. I don't really tap into that unless I'm sitting one-on-one with a client that's really asking me for that. And I'll ask their higher guidance and their higher self what from their past life is affecting them now. Sometimes you can come in. I mean, there's plenty of children that come in immediately with a health crisis, right? Or a health issue. That is not something they had enough time in this lifetime to absorb, especially if it's at birth or nearly after birth. It's something that was related to a past life that either wasn't finished or somehow karmic to that life they needed to finish, or somehow karmic to the parents of the life now. The parents, okay, this is my child. This is what we're going to do. I've taken this on, right? And the duties of this young child or whatever, or autism and those sorts of things.
Let's talk a little bit about your understanding of the afterlife, maybe misunderstandings. Is there heaven and hell? Are we reincarnated? Can people essentially get stuck in this plane? Tell us a little bit about your understanding of that.
Well, what the dead have taught me is that there is not a hell. There's one level. And I've brought through many, many people, like I said, serial killers, all different race and religion, and they all come through a beautiful light. I always ask them, show me your version of heaven, and they'll show me either a Garden of Eden. I've had people golfing. I've had people building a house. I've had grandmas sitting in their favorite house that was pink on the outside that she had in the 1900s that she absolutely loved. Their version of heaven is what they want to make it. The people that I've told you, like their hell, are the ones that have restricted themselves from the group, from the public, from the people that they know and loved, because they know they did something wrong in this lifetime. It's almost like they're sitting there in that turmoil. As long as they decide, there's no judge or jury saying you need to do this. I can tell if someone has been a religious person in life. First of all, I ask them, they'll show me maybe a Catholic cross, maybe, a temple of some sort. And I can feel their faith in their chest. So I'll say, what is your version of heaven? And they'll show me like Jesus and God and Mother Mary, and they'll show me what they're seeing, and I'll express that to my client, and they'll say, oh, that was my grandmother. She prayed every day, those sorts of things. So we take with us our same personality. That does not change. So I don't feel like there's a different version of heaven and hell. There's one place. I haven't seen anyone stuck in the afterlife. When we die, we have to realize that even us right now talking, there's a part of us connected to source, whatever you believe source is, because I can still tap into people that have Alzheimer's, dementia, those in a coma, nonverbal children. I'm tapping into their higher self that sits higher, not here in the physical body, that sits higher. And I'm asking, what is it this person needs? How can we help? How can we assist? Is this child or person all right? Do they need anything from their loved ones? And get answers that way. So our spirit just doesn't die. Our spirit is solid and whole. And when we come here, we're just here for the experiences of it all. Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about Reiki healing as an intuitive gateway. You work with Reiki. First of all, for those that may not be familiar, just tell us a little bit about what it is and how you utilize it.
Great. Reiki energies, it's bringing in life force energy from the divine, coming through me to the client. It is not my energy to the client. It is the universal life force energy coming in, and the client is doing the healing. In a Reiki session, someone will lay on a massage bed. They call it a hands-on healing modality, but it is really hands-off. My hands are inches above the body. Sometimes I'll maybe grab someone's hand at the end or touch their foot, but I'm not touching the body throughout the session. And I'm just allowing the energy to lead me and guide me. Where do my hands need to go? Where placements need to be? What signs and symbols need to be into this person's body, and where? Because I've done it so long, I can literally be at someone's feet and feel and ask them, what did you do to your left shoulder? Because energy will pull me into that area where I feel like it's maybe a throbbing sensation, or it's a pulsing sensation, or it's a cool or a warmth. There's some sensation that I physically get in my palms that I know I need to go there and I need to give extra energy because this body wants to heal in that area. So that's what Reiki is. So I do that and mediumship. But Reiki is very popular. They're using it in hospitals. They're using it for post surgeries, people that can go and just get Reiki, sitting there with someone having their hands above their body and helping them heal. If you are the client and you're receiving energy through Reiki healing of any sort, imagine that energy healing you. Imagine a beautiful white light coming in, healing this part of my body, because it is intended to do that. Your subconscious will allow that if it's something that you are ready for.
Mhm.
Yeah. Everyone can block anything, so we just have to be open and ready when we want to.
Mhm. Would you say that it is important for a person to have belief in these modalities if they're going to even work? Or does it not matter at all? You can still heal and work with a person even if they don't believe in what you're doing.
I think you can still heal even if you don't believe in any of this, or if you don't know what the chakras are. I don't know, whatever this is, just help me heal if the person is ready to heal. Now, I'll tell you that sometimes it happens in layers. I had a client that had major nerve pain and neuropathy and arthritis. Everything was hot nerves, right? So as I was healing her and she had multiple sessions, there was other things that was coming on board, and she's was saying my digestion is better, but my feet are still, about the same. And then we'd have another session and, I can see a little bit better. I don't know why my vision's a little bit better. So it was coming off in layers and then moving into the dynamic of where she was finally ready to accept, okay, now I'm ready to accept some healing on the nerve pain and damage of whatever it might be. But remember, everything physical in our body started with an emotion of some sort somewhere that we trapped in our body. We carried that for years and years, possibly for many, many years. And so if the body's used to that, or the brain is used to that, you might not be letting it go so easy. Some people are shocked that, how come my back feels better after one session? You were ready to let it go. Or you've come for 8 sessions and no change. You're not ready to let anything go. It doesn't mean it's not flowing. It means your body's resistant to something.
In the past, say, 5 years or so, have you noticed more people becoming interested in some of these topics, or even becoming more aware of spiritual concepts?
Very much so. I think COVID-19 did a number on people, brought them inward more. I have more time. I want to meditate. I want to know what spirituality is. I want to find it for myself. I don't want to check this out. Maybe not a Reiki. Maybe they didn't turn into Reiki, but they turned into some sort of energy healing. They're reading the books. They're trying to practice. They're trying to be better. But Chris, the problem is right now the world is a heavy place. There's so much on social media, and so it's a shitstorm out there, if I could be so blunt, of what's out there. I mean, I have clients as young as 20 years old addicted to porn. That there's just so much that's blaring them in the face that they haven't even had a chance to experience life, and they have this major addiction, or they're numbing out with alcohol and drugs and cigarettes and vapes and video games. Kids that are living in their parents' basement that I don't have to leave. I can just have food delivered to me. I don't have to interact with anyone. And they've limited themselves. They have no idea, fast forward 30 or 40 years, the breakdown of the body that they're doing, not just from substance, but you're not actually utilizing your energy centers now. What do you think that's going to be? You're actually setting yourself up for failure at a very young age and limiting all that. And we talked about where we withhold it in the body. That's going to be someone that has diabetes or grief problems with their lungs or heart problems when they're older. And they're just going to say, well, this is just who I am, right? And shrug their shoulders. Well, this is who I am, because they haven't tried anything different. Some people are very resistant and are comfortable with victimhood. And you can't take anyone out of it until they're ready.
Well, something else I've been noticing in the past few years, not only has there been awakening, people questioning reality, becoming more spiritual, but there's a lot of people who are losing faith and losing hope because they're realizing the parasitic nature of some of our ruling class and the systems that are implemented to keep us from being aware. And this is a part of our reality that we have to participate in. We have to send our children to the education system that's going to indoctrinate them. We have to eat, we have to work. So we are forced to participate in things that really aren't beneficial for humanity. In fact, it's very toxic in many cases for humanity, and people don't know what to do with that. If their entire reality is ruled by lizard people and our systems are toxic, what does that mean this reality is? And a lot of people wonder, is this some sort of trapped reality? They look at Gnosticism and think, oh, am I going to be recycled constantly into this loose harvesting reality? A lot of dark concepts coming out right now. What would you tell people that are looking at reality like that?
I agree with you. It's heavy. It's dense energy right now. I would tell people, you know what? Come back home into your own body. See how it feels. And yes, you got to go to work. But when you come home, ask yourself, how do I really feel? What do I really want? What am I really sensing? If you have children at home and they have to go to school and come home, ask them, how do you feel? What do you want? What do you know? What do you sense? You're bringing it back into their own awareness of self. Even if they have to do this for 8 hours a day, I'm coming back home and I have this check and balances in place of, oh yeah, I don't really feel that way, but this is what I have to do. This is what I have to understand right now until I get a different choice. I just think the world is shifting. The new souls that are coming to this world, these babies that are being born, the children that are less than 5, 6, 7 right now, they're going to change the future. Absolutely. There is going to be a wave that changes the future. The doctrination and the dynamics of how it is not how it is. Within about 25 years is what I anticipate. There's a big shift.
So
it's heavy. We have to hold on.
Right. Do you have hope overall that we're headed in a general right direction as humanity, even while navigating through the craziness?
I do. I think some of our darkest days are behind us. And I think the more we can see the light and collaborate as human beings instead of being against each other, understanding, oh my God, that guy probably went through the same crap I did. He probably had bad traffic. He probably had a bad marriage. He probably had whatever, or the woman in front of me at the grocery store. Understanding that's another human that you have no idea what they've gone through. You know what you've gone through in all your aspects of life, right? And just being very aware of the human around you. And bringing us back home into our own reality. We came here to experience joy to the fullest expression, and we have forgotten that we're here for joy. We make it darkness. We make it heavy. We seem to dwell in that, and there's a shift coming. There truly is. And again, I got to say, the planets that have shifted, this alignment that happened, I think in September, August, of major planets that haven't moved in 200 years. Yeah, there's lots of changes happening for us.
For the last few minutes we have, talk a little bit about what people can expect if they opt to utilize your teaching in your courses.
Well, I teach a lot of courses. I try to do at least 2, maybe 3 a month. I do quite a bit on Zoom so people can get a recording after the session because a lot of my clients are out of state or out of country. I do them in person. I live in southern Utah. And so if you're local, you can visit there. But I'm constantly teaching, or you can have a session with me. We kind of talked about mediumship. I'll be bringing through your deceased loved one, giving you evidence this is your person, and just validating life together with you and your person or people. And or if you do a Reiki session, I like to just do those in person. So I'm actually feeling the vibration. It can be done online. I just prefer it in person. So there's that, but I'm always posting new classes. I teach psychic development classes. I teach mediumship. I teach about your intuition. Pretty much any question that anyone's asked about kind of spirituality, I've tried to teach a class on at least at one time or another. So there's always something. Scroll down on my blossomingmedium.com website and you'll see all the classes I have coming up.
Excellent.
I did put out a book last year. It's on Amazon, Trusting Your Intuition and Connecting to Your Spirit Within. And that's on Amazon or my website. So
right on. Well, awesome. Yeah. Any final thoughts before we close out? Anything that we didn't get to that you'd like to share with the audience?
Oh my gosh, we've covered so much. There was one thing you asked me about reincarnation. That has come up a few times in readings. And, I've had clients say, well, my dad's been gone 20 years. Has he reincarnated? I still tap into the higher soul, even if that person is reincarnated into another being, or, if someone's dog became another dog somewhere, I still tap into the higher self and give them messages. I have seen children that, let's say, have been a miscarriage or a stillborn, that are on the other side, that are talking to the mother or the father, of telling me maybe they're ready to come back, or they've come back with another family member, but they're still around you in your soul group. A little bit of that. Most souls, I want to say 60% that I have seen, they just stay on the other side. They're like, I did that. I don't know that I want to reincarnate and come back, unless there's a lesson that they didn't finish. And let me just add this. The clients that I see are usually in deep grief. They've lost a child, they've lost their parents, they're really in the funk of grief. If it's been a child that is maybe 13, 14, 15, this just happened recently. The child came through, and it was a young girl of 13, and it was an accidental situation how she passed. But she told me her life was fulfilled. And I had to tell her parents that. And they're like, how could that be? She was only 13. Well, she told me that she only needed to live a little bit of this lifetime to learn all the lessons that she needed to. And then her life was going to be cut short. And sometimes that's very hard for a parent to wrap their mind around. Yet the soul itself knows. Maybe she had a life where she lived 100 years before, and I just needed a little bit more. So I came into this particular family to learn these lessons, and now I'm done. We have to look at it from a higher perspective than just our, quote, greedy little self in our mind, and this is how it's supposed to look. We really have to go much bigger.
Krystal, thank you so much. Definitely love to talk again in the future. Before I let you go, remind the audience how they can find out more about you.
Great. Blossomingmedium.com is the website. You can find me on my socials, blossomingmedium.com. I try to put some content out there, but I'm actually busy working, so it may be minimum at times. It's hit and miss, but I've got another video coming out tonight. Today's the 29th, where I actually do a one-on-one session. It's a YouTube session. I do a one-on-one session and then a group session, so that'll be on my socials if anyone's interested in that. Thank you for having me today. I really appreciate it. And we covered a lot of information.
Yes, it's great. Wonderful, Krystal. Like I said, we'll definitely have to talk again. And until next time, everyone, have an excellent evening. We will talk again tomorrow.